You need to finally unstick yourself from your desk as a freelance writer. You can't continue working 60, 70, 80-hour weeks or even, 50, 60-hour weeks in this way. This is why we're going to talk about the four things that I have put in place in my business over the years running my six-figure freelance writing business, my coaching business, my course business, and my community business. So two different businesses, two different arms of my business, without working myself into the ground. And most of the time, working under 40 hours a week. So I'm going to walk you through that. I'm Mandy Ellis, and I built a six-figure freelance writing business. And now I teach other freelance writers how to hit five-figure months with dream clients without the stress, burnout, and overwhelm. We are going to go through these four things. And the very first thing is kind of counterintuitive. This is something that I think really helps with work-life balance, and it is slow mornings. This goes into the second thing too, but the slow mornings have changed my business this year. This is something that I've kind of been playing with over the years, especially when I'm running these two different businesses. But for me, slow mornings means waking up and doing a few things on my phone, like cleaning out my inbox so that when I get on my computer later, I only have messages in there that I need to respond to. That's like my email to-do list. Then I snuggle with my dogs, or I drink a bunch of water. Whenever I get up, I always drink a bunch of water, or I have some kind of like electrolyte drink. And that kind of helps me wake up. I sometimes snuggle the dogs if it's raining or if they just want to hang out in bed for a while. Then I'll get up and I'll walk them. So I'll walk them. And then when I get back, I kind of check in on to-dos. I'll check in on my communities. I'll check in on my students. I'll check to see if any new emails have come in from my students. And I will kind of prioritize things I need to do in the day. But the slow morning allows me to have time for myself and allows me to prioritize my day without me feeling like I have to rush to a meeting every time. This was something that for me, I think was a big deal. And a lot of writers talk about this, where every day you wake up and there's like a client call, or there's a meeting, or you have to get to some kind of appointment, or you have a deadline, or there's always something to wake up and go do. Or you go to sleep at night and you're like, oh yeah, there's 85 other things I haven't done yet. So I really want you to think about this in terms of what would a slow morning look like for you. Now, a slow morning could be an hour, it could be 2 hours, it could even be 4 hours, it could be the first half of the day. But you really want to map out what that looks like for you. Sometimes I add in reading articles. Sometimes I have a little food, make a little breakfast. Sometimes there's different things that I will do so that I feel like I have some personal time in the day where I'm awake and active versus crashing at the end of the night. So that's the first thing, which leads into having those slow mornings. Number two, allows me to not follow Parkinson's law, right? Parkinson's law is work expands to fill the time available. This is a very common thing. And I have fallen into this trap many, many, many times when I'm running these two businesses, right? I'm running my freelance writing business next to my course coaching community business. And together, these two things end up taking, a lot of time. But the deal here is that I end up in inefficiency and I waste a lot of time because I'm allowing the work to expand to the time available. When I take the slow mornings, that allows me to say, oh, well, I only have this many more hours in the day, right? I only have this many more hours to get work done, and I magically am able to get things done. So instead of filling my day with stuff to do every hour of the day, or working 10 to 12 hours a day, I have this slow morning that allows me to be more efficient when I do start working. So instead of being in this thing where I'm trying to do all this stuff and getting more tired and getting more frustrated and using my brain a lot, which then makes every task take longer. And then I also am like, well, it's not due yet, so like I don't have to rush, right? That ends up, that slow morning allows me to be more efficient in like the 5 to 6 or 7 hours in the later part of the day. So that allows me to then set realistic deadlines. That allows me to then work backwards with my deadlines. It allows me to estimate my time better, and it allows me to have a schedule that's more flexible. So this also goes back to not allowing the work to fill the time available matches with your deadline. So when I get a client deadline, I'm very particular about like how much time I actually have in my schedule, and really setting that deadline for a new client 2 to 3 weeks out from the time I get the payment, the upfront payment. This is a mistake a lot of writers make that messes with their work-life balance and their schedule. They just start working. They're like, oh, when the client says deadline, like on that call, I need to set a deadline on that call. No, the deadline is 2 to 3 weeks out, maybe even 4 weeks out from when you get the payment from that client. Then you start working. So what happens is like you start talking to a client and then 2 weeks later they haven't sent the payment, but yet the due date is approaching. Like, no, no, no. Everything needs to be handled. Contract needs to be signed. They need to have sent the upfront payment. You need to have discussed, all the project stuff, what's due, when, and that due date and all that stuff is after, to at least 2 weeks after that initial payment. So for me, this was a huge shift in my business to allow me to manage different things because I knew in my course coaching community business when a launch was coming up or when I was opening the doors to breakthrough or when I was running a promo for runway or when I was starting unskippable, right? Or when the wealth lab was enrolling. I had all these laid out in a calendar, but it allowed me to manage my deadlines better rather than feeling like every time I got a client, like 2 or 3 weeks later, everything was just in chaos. This is very well planned out. And like I said, the slow mornings partnered with Parkinson's law and not allowing things to expand to the time available, right? Like, let's say you have 8 to 5 or 9 to 5 every day. If I have a slow morning of 2 or 3 hours, now I only have X amount of hours to get things done, and I'm not as tired because I had that slow morning. I feel like I've gotten some time to myself. I feel like I refreshed, and then I can get to my work and I do my work quicker. I'm sharper. I'm paying more attention. They all kind of work together in this really good soup, basically. And if you want to learn more about this work-life balance and how to trim your business down to just the pillars that you need to run a super high-earning, efficient business, I want you to check out my course, Unskippable. It is my 7-day email course to help you turn biz pains and plateaus into client gains and dough in these 7 bread and butter lessons. If you go to mandyellis.com/skip, that will allow you to get 50% off at $47. And it will walk you through how to actually take these bite-sized lessons so that you can get in the trenches formulas for what to do when and how. How do we actually give ourselves a continually sustainable and profitable freelance writing business with the pillars that have run freelance writing businesses for decades? Walk you through each one of these pieces that get rid of info overload, chaos, confusion, spinning your wheels, all that stuff. So if you go to mandyellis.com/skip, it's $47. You get 50% off my 7-day email course, Unskippable. And it really helps you end up getting your mojo back. You end up feeling like you can refresh your business. You can stop having clients move through a revolving door, and you can actually get progress in place with the business direction homework. So I hope you will check that out, and it helps you build that next successful phase of your business. The third thing goes with these as well. So for me, I am doing something that I didn't realize had a name. So I prioritize a lot. This has really helped me with time management, is priorities based on what needs to be done when, for who, and like why, and when the deadline is, and a concept called timeboxing. So timeboxing is when you set a fixed amount of time for a task. So that means that we're going to try to get as much of that task done in this time box as we can so that we can be as efficient as possible and really kind of remember that you submitting work and you getting it done and finishing it and having something complete is way better than sitting in analysis paralysis or perfectionism or any of that stuff. So this is something I've kind of done to challenge myself when I'm working on client work. Is I will say like, hey, you only have 2 hours to get this done. Get it done. Like, you have this amount of time. You just need to get it done. This is something that I will do to when I know that I'm either I know that I'm like allowing the work to expand to the time available. Like, I've kind of seen myself do that over the last couple weeks. So I will start time boxing so that I can get things done and just say like, whatever state it's in after 2 hours, then we will reassess. But we're going to get as much as we can done in this small amount of time as we can. And that allows me also to batch similar work and tasks. So if I say, hey, you have 2 hours to complete these types of research for this article, right? You have this amount of time to research for this article and this article. Now I know I have 2 hours to just get it done. And that's just research, right? For these things. Or I can block tasks that are like email tasks where I'm like, hey, I need to make these 4 videos for my students and I need to go reply to these questions. When I check in the community, I need to go through these DMs and I need to go do this. And this allows me to time box like, hey, you only have an hour or you only have this much time to do it. And this also helps too when you have appointments, right? When you have calls and you're like, hey, you only have an hour before the call, get it done. That for me works really well because if anytime you have a call, if you can batch 2 to 3 hours of work ahead of that, or maybe even an hour, and just say, I'm going to get as much done as I can and be as efficient as I can and get it done, that works really well because the call is kind of like this totally different part of your brain. So it kind of, for me, it allows me to relax. So I kind of do this work where I'm like using my noodle and then I get to relax into just having a conversation with someone on a call. And I just want to point out here that me working on the call stuff, like I used to drink so much water on a call because I was so nervous that like it was a disaster. I'd have to like go to the bathroom afterwards. I have to hold my pee for like an hour. And it was the worst. So I have come a long way with client calls where now I feel like they're kind of relaxing or it's just a conversation. But I want to be very clear that this helps you manage your time a lot better and set priorities. And for me, the last piece here is I really define when something is done. So if you have ever defined when something is done, put that in the comments. Or if you have not heard of like defining something that has been done, let me know in the comments because this is something that I think really helps. And I always tell this story. So for me, something is done when I have this delicate paper origami boat. And you might have heard this story before in Runway or the Wealth Lab, but I have this paper origami boat and it's really small, it's the size of a tennis ball, maybe a softball. And I just go out on the beach and I let it go into the ocean. That paper origami boat in my mind represents the work that I'm turning in, whether that work is a video to a student, a comment in our communities, whether that work is an article to a magazine or a case study or whatever I'm turning in or finishing. I'm letting it go out to the ocean. That is the definition of done to me. So for me, when I am submitting something, I'm like, hey, I worked really hard on this. I put my best effort into it. I feel good about what I have done and I can't control what's going to happen now. I submitted it. If my client is upset or I need to do edits or whatever, I can't control that. I have controlled what I can control. I've done as the best I can. I'm letting my paper origami delicate boat go out into the vast ocean. And for me, that is a really good way of feeling like something is done and I can move forward. So this is something where I feel like when you're taking action, that's promoting this idea of like, we're taking the action, we're getting something done, we're doing the best we can with the skills we have right now, with the writing capabilities we have right now in the time available, right? We would love to have more deadline time always. But the deal here is that we're not shooting for perfection. And most importantly, your idea of perfection is nobody else's version of perfection. This took me a long time to get to. So when you are sitting in the dark trying to finish something and make it perfect, that's your version of perfect. That is literally nobody else's on the planet's version of perfect. So you getting it done and turning it into the best of your ability with the skills you have now in the time available, right? Up to your deadline. That's the best you can do. And I feel like the perfection thing keeps you from learning from feedback. Like the more you really get something done, the more you do and you get that feedback, you learn the things you need to work on and you actually live your life out, right? Like out in the open rather than in the dark where you're toiling away by yourself. That really improves your writing. It improves your ability to handle multiple projects, multiple different arms of your business. And it really helps you see like how much control you have and how much control you don't, like things you can control and things you can't. So the prioritization and the time boxing really help in amongst other stuff. But the last thing here that I'm going to say, number 4, is you need to go the fuck to sleep. Okay. So this was something, and let me know, like, give me a thumbs up if you have felt like sometimes you just need to go to sleep. Like you need to let it go. You're like, yes, I like that. I just need to go to sleep. If you want to learn more about freelance writing, feel free to subscribe. But for me, I really got sucked into revenge bedtime procrastination for years. And I am really coming out of it over the last maybe year or more. Maybe I guess it's a bit more than a year, but maybe 18 months or so. But for me, I just need to go to the fuck to sleep sometimes, where I will stay up and work on a project and toil away, and it's not efficient. It's just like I feel like I need to do more, like it's not finished. So for me, revenge bedtime procrastination, which is, I'll just read you the definition. It means intentionally delaying sleep to pursue leisure or other activities, even when you know it will negatively impact your sleep and daytime functioning. So it's often driven by a desire to reclaim personal time after a stressful day, or when feeling a lack of control over other daytime activities. So I will do two things. I will stay up at night to finish something because I'm like obsessing over it, right? That was something I did for a very long time. Or what happens is I'll stay up late watching TV, or reading something on my phone, because I feel like during the day, my day is like too many other priorities or too many things, and I'm not getting enough downtime or time to myself. So I will stay up late, right? I will try to reclaim that personal time late at night, even when I know I have to get up early the next day. And that really messed with me. So I have taught myself, like, just go to sleep, put the thing down, stop working, put the thing down, and go to sleep. Just go lay down, because you sleeping is more important right now than staying up and doing this. And I've built in the slow mornings. So the slow mornings have really helped me feel like I have personal time. It makes me more efficient during the day. It allows me to time box, and it also allows me to prioritize. And it really helps me really define when things are done. So sometimes you just need to go to sleep. Just let that thing go. Go to sleep, get off your phone. And if you really feel like you're not having enough personal time during the day, look into that in your schedule. I 100% recommend the slow mornings. I don't care if it's an hour, but it really helps you feel like you have more control over your schedule. You have more leisure time. You have more time to do fun things, rather than late at night when you're always, tired, or you're like, I should be in bed, but I'm not, and I need to watch that extra episode of Three's Company or whatever. So I feel like for me, these things, if you can master these things, you will see a better work-life balance in your freelance life. You will actually see how these four things will allow you to feel like you're not glued to your desk. You don't feel like your business is controlling you. You can literally cut 10 or more hours out of your week by doing these things. You might even be able to cut 20. If you're someone who's working 60 hours and you want to get back to 40, doing these things, really not trying to work all the time and absorb all that time to, the work, filling the time available, like this will really help. I think it's also kind of a novel way to think about it, because a lot of people are like, just do the Pomodoro thing and work 25 minutes and whatever. And that never worked for me. I need more flexibility, and I need to kind of work with like how I feel during the day, in terms of like, I do really well in the morning. I do certain things at night. I do certain things in the afternoon. That really learning that schedule of when I do things that are most efficient, or they're most fun for me, or they work with like how my brain naturally kind of pieces together the puzzle of running these two businesses. That really helps. And then of course, getting sleep, going to sleep, put the phone down, like go to sleep. So I hope that this has been helpful. If you feel like it's been helpful, give it a thumbs up. If you want to learn more about building a high earning freelance writing business without the stress, burnout, and overwhelm, with those diamond clients, those high paying clients, subscribe. The next video that we're going to do is I'm going to give you kind of like my day in the life of like how everything works. And I'm going to try to shoot out my phone so that you can kind of actually see what my day looks like when I'm working on these two businesses. So I hope that this has been helpful, and I will see you on the next one.